Government buildings flew the US flag at half-mast as leaders around the world paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, who died on Thursday, aged 96. In a statement, President Joe Biden said the British monarch had defined an era, and in a telegram, Pope Francis said he was deeply saddened as he offered his heartfelt condolences to members of the royal family. The European Union also lowered flags in honour of Elizabeth, who reigned for 70 years and was respected around the globe.
Mit tiefer Trauer habe ich die Nachricht vom Tod Ihrer Majestät Königin Elisabeth II.
Queen Elizabeth was a woman who shaped a century in the United Kingdom and beyond worldwide. She experienced contemporary history and wrote contemporary history. Her Majesty was held in the highest esteem and respect throughout the world.
Zeitgeschichte erlebt und Zeitgeschichte geschrieben. Ihre Majestät genoss auf der ganzen Welt höchstes Ansehen.
Tributes also came from other monarchs around the world, including Spain's King Felipe.
La reina Isabel será recordada como una de las mejores reinas.
Queen Elizabeth will be remembered as one of the greatest queens of all time, for her dignity, sense of duty, courage and devotion to her people at all times.
A su pueblo, siempre y en todo momento.
З глибоким сумом дізнався про смерть.
With deep sadness, I've learned of the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a heavy loss for the whole of Europe and the world. From all Ukrainians, I express sincere condolences to the royal family, the whole of the UK and the Commonwealth countries. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. On Twitter, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres summed up the feelings of many, saying the Queen was a reassuring presence through decades of change. The UN Security Council held a minute's silence in homage to the best-known monarch in the world.
Good morning. Euronews is bringing you live pictures now from Wellington, New Zealand's capital, as the country marks the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away peacefully yesterday, Thursday, at her Scottish residence, Balmoral Castle.
Of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II.
Queen Elizabeth II was officially the head of state in New Zealand, and Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has described her as extraordinary and has announced a period of national mourning. Right now it's 6 p.m. in Wellington, New Zealand, and plans are underway for a state memorial service to be held in the country after the Queen's funeral. And that's a statement from Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. The UK is also in a period of mourning, 10 days of mourning, after which the Queen's funeral will take place. And as the sun rises in London, the UK is waking up to a new king, of course, King Charles III, who is the eldest son of Elizabeth II. And his wife Camilla will be known as Queen Consort. Now, more on Elizabeth II. In 2015, she overtook her great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, who reigned for 63 years, 7 months and 2 days, to become the longest-serving monarch in British history. And she died at the age of 96. For those of you who just joined us, these are pictures from Wellington, New Zealand, following the death of UK's Queen Elizabeth II. For those old enough to remember her father, George VI, he died in 1952, but most will only remember the reign of Elizabeth. She welcomed in 15 different prime ministers, starting with Winston Churchill all the way through to Liz Truss, who was appointed just days ago. As she became less active in her final years, when age and frailty curtailed many of her public appearances, but she is remembered firmly as being in control of the monarchy and at the centre of national life as Britain celebrated her Platinum Jubilee with days of parties and pageants just last June. Now, tributes have been pouring in from around the world as everyday citizens and leaders alike pay their respects to a woman who has been described as the rock on which modern Britain was built. Now, in Britain's constitutional monarchy, the Queen was the head of state but had little direct power. However, she was certainly influential and was the head of the Church of England as well. It's expected that Charles, who's officially known as Charles III, will be officially proclaimed king on Saturday, and this will happen at St James's Palace in London in front of a ceremonial body known as the Accession Council. This will be taking place tomorrow on Saturday. Now, just this year, her eldest son, Prince Charles, and of course the heir to the throne, and his eldest son, Prince William, they increasingly took over visits, ribbon cutting, and public appearances as Queen Elizabeth took a step back from public life. We know that the loss of her husband, Prince Philip, last year was a heavy blow. We remember pictures of her sitting alone at his funeral in the chapel at Windsor Castle due to coronavirus restrictions. But she enjoyed robust health well into her 90s. And just days ago, she met with the UK's new Prime Minister, Liz Truss. Now, for those of you who've just joined us, once again, we're seeing pictures from Wellington, New Zealand at 6:05 in Wellington as they mark the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who died yesterday in Balmoral Castle in Scotland, her summer residence. Elsewhere, crowds of people gathered yesterday across the UK to pay their respects, and also at different embassies around the world. And we saw pictures of young and old gathering outside of Buckingham Palace. People laid flowers outside of Balmoral Castle in Scotland and also outside of Windsor Castle. Now, in Wellington yesterday, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said over her reign, Elizabeth II has come to define notions of service, charity and consistency. She said that Elizabeth's commitment to her role was without question and unwavering, and that she also demonstrated courage, compassion and humour. These are the words of Jacinda Ardern, New Zealand's Prime Minister, who has remembered the Queen as being, quote, extraordinary, and announced a period of national mourning following the announcement of her death. Now, this gun salute on Wellington's waterfront comes as New Zealand's flag was flown at half-mast, reduced to half-mast, and will be held at half-mast until a day after the Queen's funeral. And condolence books have been opened in New Zealand's capitals and in other locations throughout the country so that members of the public can write a few words and remember the Queen, who was officially the head of state in New Zealand. New Zealand is, of course, a Commonwealth country.
Fire! Fire!
The Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern also described the Queen as a much respected constant throughout unprecedented global change. And she said she expected New Zealanders would feel deep sadness but also deep gratitude as they woke to the news. Now here we have live pictures from outside Buckingham Palace as crowds are beginning to gather. The UK is, of course, waking up to the dawn of a new era today and a new head of state, King Charles III.
1 minute.
Now, in a statement yesterday, he said his mother's death was a moment of great sadness for him and all members of his family. He added that her loss would be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms and the Commonwealth, and by countless people throughout the world. Now, yesterday as well, we saw pictures of young and old gathered outside of Buckingham Palace, where people laid flowers and sang the national anthem when the announcement was made. Tributes have been also flooding in from around the world. We have seen tributes from, or we've heard tributes online from leaders such as Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, US President Joe Biden, former US President Barack Obama, who have all paid tribute to Elizabeth II and her service as the UK's longest serving monarch. Now here we have pictures of Liz Truss from yesterday. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, who marked the death of Queen Elizabeth II and welcomed in a new era under King Charles III.
As it has done for more than 1,000 years, to our new monarch, our new head of state, His Majesty King Charles III. With the King's family, we mourn the loss of his mother, and as we mourn, we must come together as a people to support him, to help him bear the awesome responsibility that he now carries for us all. We offer him our loyalty and devotion, just as his mother devoted so much to so many for so long. And with the passing of the second Elizabethan age, we usher in a new era in the magnificent history of our great country, exactly as Her Majesty would have wished, by saying the words, "God save the King."
Now that was UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister who was appointed just days ago and met with Queen Elizabeth II before her death. And her appointment, of course, comes at a time when the UK grapples with an energy crisis, double-digit inflation, the war in Ukraine and a fallout from Brexit. Once again, we've pictures from yesterday as people came to pay their respects and laid flowers for Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away yesterday. Here we have pictures from outside of Windsor Castle And people continued to come throughout the night, lighting candles and leaving flowers for a Queen who was beloved by many across the UK and beyond. It's expected that Charles, who is officially Charles III, the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth, will be officially proclaimed king on Saturday, and this will happen at St James's Palace in London in front of a ceremonial body known as the Accession Council. Now we know that sporting fixtures scheduled for today have mostly been cancelled, including football matches in the English Premier League. And a minute of silence was held at many sporting events around the world out of respect for the Queen and in her memory. We also know that horse racing events have also been cancelled. Stick with us, we'll be providing you with more updates following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Thanks for watching.
Queen Elizabeth II has ruled longer than any other British monarch. Amidst astonishing change and challenges, she remained constant and resilient. She became Queen of the United Kingdom in 1952. She was never destined to rule, but when her uncle gave up the throne in 1936, her life was changed forever. She was crowned, aged just 27, the start of a lifetime of public service.
I shall dedicate myself anew to your service. But I want to ask you all to pray that God may give me wisdom and strength, and that I may faithfully serve him and you all the days of my life.
And that is what she did. As head of the Commonwealth, she went on countless trips around the world. Praised as a figure of stability and known for her strong sense of duty, during her reign she met more presidents and leaders than any other head of state. With little executive power, she mastered the art of quiet diplomacy. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. In 1992, 3 of her children, Prince Andrew, Princess Anne, and Prince Charles, separated from their spouses. What had started as promising fairy tales became a feast for the tabloids. The family's reputation was at its lowest level in a generation. This wasn't the only damage. A fire destroyed part of Windsor Castle, and the British taxpayers were reluctant to pay the bill. In the words of the Queen, 1992 is not a year on which I shall look back with undiluted pleasure. It has turned out to be an annus horribilis. The death of Princess Diana in a car crash in Paris changed the public view of the monarchy. The shock and public grief were immense. The Queen maintained her characteristic reserve and stayed initially at Balmoral, a decision that left the royal family out of touch with public opinion. But a speedy return to London ensured the Queen remained in the hearts of her public. The monarchy recovered from this turmoil. Royal popularity reached new heights thanks to the Queen's grandsons. Prince William and Prince Harry married commoners, modernised the monarchy, and produced a new generation to capture the admiration of the public. But then in 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle left the royal family, complaining about the British tabloids' treatment of Meghan. They cited bullying and racist attitudes towards the Duchess. The one who stood next to the Queen through all the ups and downs of royal life was Prince Philip. At the time of his death, they had been married for 73 years. She said that he had always been her strength. Queen Elizabeth II was strong, reliable and committed, and the people loved her for it. The nation got an opportunity to express its gratitude in the Platinum Jubilee, which marked 70 years of Elizabeth's reign. The 4 days of celebration and pageantry brought welcome relief in troubled economic and political times. Due to fatigue, the Queen was unable to attend all events, but she did appear on the famous palace balcony to engage once again with her subjects. An enduring image of a much-loved monarch.
Sir Winston came out with Lady Churchill to welcome the guests of honour, Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh.
said that such a tremendous reception has never been seen in Calcutta before. The Queen was accompanied by Miss Naidu, Governor of West Bengal, on this memorable drive.
The inhabitants of Fort Providence face a continual menace from swarms of black flies and mosquitoes. For protection, both the Queen and Princess Anne donned trouser suits, and the royal family had all smeared themselves with insect repellents.
Hurrah! Hip hip! Hurrah! Hip hip! Hurrah!
And down. Down straight away.
It remains a great pleasure and honour to serve you as head of the Commonwealth and to observe with pride and satisfaction that this is a flourishing network.